views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
And hello, everyone, and welcome to Open, the one and only show that opens the Bronx and the rest of the world right to you. I'm your host, Darren Hyman, and today we'll update you on what's happening in and around our borough, as well as across New York City. Coming up on today's show, we go front and center with the issue of traffic deaths, as African Americans are dying in traffic deaths at a disproportionate rate. What are the reasons? We'll talk to a lawyer who could give us some insight into this. Then afterwards, we'll discuss how Vision Services for the Blind is helping the visually impaired and those who've lost their vision to adapt to the COVID-19 pandemic. And then we'll meet some members of the Vision social workers team on the organization's rehabilitation services. And then later on, we'll speak with the founder of the American Dream Charter School on the challenges the school has faced during the pandemic. This despite bringing the first graduation class forward in the year 2021. And then also, we'll learn about another organization committed to fostering lifelong literacy for families and students. And then we get to talk to see how one company is actually using their product to create a healthier environment on what's known as an e-bike. Well, stay tuned because all this and much more is heading your way. Right now, we're officially open. And welcome to Open. Today is Wednesday, July 21st, and you're watching Open, a live and interactive program that brings the Bronx and New York City straight to your TV set. We also want to welcome our viewers on Manhattan Neighborhood Network, as Open is being broadcast live simultaneously on the MNN channel. We encourage you to stay connected to us on all of our social media platforms at BronxNet TV, and definitely visit our website at bronxnet.org to find out all about our station, including this right here show. Well, some things have been going on throughout the course of this past week. We'll take you through a couple of them with our Bronx updates. We start off with coronavirus news. We find out that statistics are showing the Bronx with the lowest percentage of those fully vaccinated across the boroughs. The Morris Heights Health Center continues to provide the vaccination in the hardest hit areas. Our BronxNet reporter, Arlene Makoko, brings us the story.
Meet Rosa Hernandez here with her mother at a COVID-19 pop-up site located at Mount Hope Community Center at 53 East 175th Street. Both are getting their second COVID-19 vaccination administered by Morris Heights Health Center, as numbers by the city showed the Bronx with the lowest percentage of residents that are fully vaccinated. Just your thoughts now. You glad it's over?
Oh, yes. Totally.
Something health technicians here are pleased to hear.
Morris Heights Health Center started from the very beginning, since January.
But the new numbers on city residents fully vaccinated are cause for renewed focus, as the borough's numbers compared to Brooklyn at 45%, Manhattan at 63%, Queens at 57%, and Staten Island showing 48% show outreach efforts and accessibility need to expand. When I shared this news with Hernandez, whose mother was stricken with COVID-19 and recovered, this was her reaction.
Basically, if you don't feel anything, just come and get vaccinated because we need to get to the end of this. This is the light at the end of the tunnel.
Along with the city opening pop-up sites like this one in early May, where the mayor toured a COVID-19 pop-up van with Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez on Castle Hill Avenue, Morris Heights is doing the same, choosing neighborhoods hardest hit and partnering with nonprofits to provide Pfizer and Moderna vaccines, which require 2 shots, as well as the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, which requires just 1 available.
We worked with Bronx Rising Initiative, and together we recognize that, to get people vaccinated, we need to go to them.
Morse Heights Health Center is taking appointments and walk-ins here at Mount Hope. For more information and an updated list of locations, go to mhhc.org or call them at 718-716-4400. The city also has a COVID-19 hotline, which is 212-COVID-19. You can make an appointment at 1-844-NYC for NYC. And for a list of locations, go to nychealthandhospitals.org. For BronxNet, this is Arlene Makoko.
And that's all the time we have for our Bronx updates. As always, you can watch them every week here on Open Wednesday. We want you to stay with us. We've got more news coming up right after this.
We built a media network for you.
BronxNet TV.
Come learn in your new state-of-the-art studios at Lehman College.
At Mercy College.
And coming soon to the South Bronx in the Hub.
Inspire with your stories, culture, history.
Your Bronx on BronxNet.
Engage with us.
Connect with us at your channels and at bronxnet.tv.
Learn, engage, inspire. BronxNet TV.
From the Bronx
to the world.
BronxNet.
And welcome back to the show. Well, during the year of the pandemic, fewer people were on the roads, yet the number of traffic deaths has increased according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. Now, out of the over 38,000 people who were killed in crashes last year, over 7,000 were African American. Joining us now to share a little bit more details is the partner at Levine and Slavitt, Ira Slavitt. And Ira, good to have you here with us on the show.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
When we look at these statistics, definitely very telling and a lot of questions that seem to be raised. But when we look at deaths by African Americans, that number is up there. What can you tell us?
Well, there's a number of factors that seem to contribute to the disparity. One is the infrastructure of highways and roads in minority areas does not seem to be as well maintained as in suburban areas. There have been studies about this even before COVID, that there's a disparity. It's called, there's an inequity in transportation. It's a well-known phenomena, but during COVID, the disparity seems to be even worse. Part of that seems to be because more or a higher percentage of essential workers are people of a minority. And so they have been forced, as you said, there's less traffic on the road, but more of the traffic comes from essential workers. And they've already, it's very unfair. They're already going in and dealing with unknown issues. We know more about COVID than we used to, but at the beginning, we had no idea of things. And yet people had to go to work. People had to go to hospitals and health clinics, and people had to be running the transportation systems to get the people there. One of the bigger areas where there's a disparity is actually pedestrian deaths. The statistics are there are twice as many deaths involving Black pedestrians than white pedestrians. That's again, not necessarily related to COVID, but that is one of the things that people have been found in different studies that have been done by, as you said, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, but also the Governor's Highway Safety Administration. One of the things, Pete Buttigieg, who's the United States Secretary of Transportation, in the infrastructure bill that hopefully will find its way through Congress. And just yesterday, there was an agreement announced by the Democratic leaders that will address, hopefully, the inequity in transportation between, generally speaking, and also minorities. One other statistic is they find that there's a higher percentage of fatalities as a result of police chases. Police pursuits result in a higher percentage of fatalities for minority people.
Yeah, I want to go back to a minute and talk a little bit about these roads, because when we talk about roads that could possibly be contributing factors for these accidents, what kind of recourse does a family have? If I've lost a loved one and the roads have definitely been unsafe, or we can definitely declare that there's an inequity in treatment of roads, what kind of recourse does a family have?
Well, there can be a few different scenarios that there might be liability by the municipality. One could be an unsafe road design. One could be a failure to maintain a roadway where the municipality is on notice that there's a particular problem or a history of problems in a particular area. One of the other things that can come up is actually the negligence itself could be from a state or a municipal operated vehicle like a bus or a sanitation truck. So there can be claims made against the municipality. One of the hard things is to figure out which municipal entity is responsible for maintaining a particular roadway. It could be the state, could be a city, could be a local town. But there are ways for a family to bring a claim, but there's also some very tight time limitations that are involved. And it'd be almost impossible, I think, for a family to figure out on their own who claims should be brought against. And so it's important to seek an attorney. But there is an ability to bring a lawsuit against municipalities. There's an ability to recover damages for the pain and suffering of the loved one who has passed away. The family has rights to be compensated for the loss, the financial loss that they incur as a result of the death of the individual. So there is definitely recourse for a family. One thing that is a limitation in New York state law is the family cannot recover for their emotional loss. And that's actually New York State is in the minority of states in the country that do not allow families to recover for their emotional loss, which we know can be devastating. Although there is a law that has been passed this year by the New York State Senate and the New York State Assembly called the Grieving Families Act. And I believe as of this time, that legislation is sitting on Governor Cuomo's desk.
Yeah. I need to move a little bit further and ask a question about if you're involved in an accident. Many people don't know how to handle an accident scene. It's very frightening. It's very harrowing for a lot of people. But very quickly, how does a family or an individual deal with an accident from a legal perspective? What should they be doing and what information should they be gathering?
At the scene of accident, it's crucial that they obtain identifying information for who's driving and who owns any other vehicles. Best is if you can take a photograph of the other driver's license. One other thing is to take photographs. It's very hard, like you said, at the scene of accident to kind of keep your wits about you, but it's good to take photographs of the damage to the vehicle, lack of damage to your vehicle and the other vehicles. Good idea to take photos from a wide angle. You can always zoom in with these digital photos. You can't zoom out. So it's not as important to get the details. If you know of any witnesses, if there are any people who say they saw what happened, get their names and at least their phone numbers, cell phone numbers, because just saying people were there is not enough. You need to be able to contact, and any lawyer that you contact would definitely want to speak to those people. One thing, though, I want to caution people not to do is to speak to the other drivers about how the accident happened or to admit fault. You don't know what might be recorded. People record things all the time. And, you don't want something that you say to be twisted and used against you in the future.
Yeah. All right, we got to leave it there, but thank you so much. I think that's very helpful information. Certainly, we got to bring it back and delve a little bit deeper into this. There's a lot that goes in, and we want to talk about those inequities and at the same time, also how to be able to maneuver in a time like that. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you. I'll be more than happy to come back anytime.
Well, thank you so much, Ira Slavitt, our guest here on Open. I want to let you know, if you want more information, we encourage you, please visit the website, NewYorkInjuries.com, NewYorkInjuries.com. We are taking a quick break, and we'll be back in a few. to the show. Vision Services for the Blind and Visually Impaired is a not-for-profit rehabilitation and social service organization. Now, they aim to develop and implement individualized programs assisting people who are blind and visually impaired of all ages to lead independent and active lives, educating the public to understand the capabilities and needs of people who are blind as well as visually impaired. Joining me now on the show to share a little bit more and give us some details is the Executive Director and CEO of Vision Services for the Blind and Visually Impaired, Nancy D. Miller. And Nancy, glad to have you with us.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah, the work that you do is integral. And so talk to us about really how you're actually bridging that gap, particularly for those who are visually impaired and blind through the services that you offer.
So we're celebrating our 95th anniversary. We have been providing training for people to learn to be as independent as possible. That training is given in the home and also in the community. And along with the training that are provided by certified professionals, we also provide counseling to help people adjust to their vision loss and really focus on what they are able to do instead of focusing on what they can't do. Part of our training is to teach people with vision loss alternate methods by using non-visual techniques. So everything from using talking watches and talking clocks, learning the technology and software that will enable them to hear rather than read what's on the page or the internet or the website that they're looking at, and also how to use magnification. We find that so many people lose their vision later in life. And so it's important for them to understand what accessibility features come right off the shelf on their smartphone or using Alexa or Echo or any of the devices that they might use at home. We provide services free of charge. There is no billing of the participant, no billing of insurance. We're funded primarily through the New York State Commission for the Blind, in partnership with them on several contracts and grants, but we also depend on the general public for individual donors and donations, as well as volunteers to help us in helping people not only stay independent, but also be work ready and find paid employment in all different jobs and sectors. Everything from being in education, a teacher aide or a teacher, a social work assistant, a benefits counselor, a social worker. We even had a young man graduate as an HVAC technician. It wouldn't have been my choice, but for some reason he loved the idea of heating and air conditioning. And even though he was blind, he got one of the highest grades in the training course and became certified. So he's now eligible to start his apprenticeship. So our goal is to help people see all the possibilities. We serve all of New York City, but many of the people that we serve live in the Bronx. We're particularly focused on engaging with people of low income and also people of color and people who speak languages other than English, because that's where the prevalence rate of blindness is much higher. So that we know that we have to do outreach in order to let people know about our free services and that we are there to help and assist anybody of any age with vision loss.
Give me a little bit about self-esteem and morale. When you have somebody who's accustomed to being able to see, now moving to the place where they become visually impaired and or lose their sight, one of the common things that happens is this emotional, psychological withdrawal, and sometimes these issues that actually come because, to a sense, you're losing your control. And I know that your organization does a lot in the area of counseling and really helping people to transition when they've had these challenges.
Yeah, unfortunately, when people first start losing vision, they often self-isolate. They stay at home, they often get depressed, they get embarrassed because they don't want people to think that they've lost their vision. So part of the work that we do is to draw the person out, to let them know that losing your vision is not the end of the world, that there are things that you can continue to do, but you just do it differently. We have many of our staff, over 30% of our staff are blind themselves, and they become role models for the participants that we have that, yes, you can be blind and work. Yes, you can be older and blind and work. We run an older adult center on 23rd Street in Manhattan, and many Bronx residents come to that center. Our dance instructor is deaf and blind. She is a paid dance instructor. And people say, how can she do it? We say, come and see, come and meet her, come and be a part of the class. It's done through verbal narration. It's done through adaptations and accommodations. Our technology instructors are blind. So being able to teach somebody who's blind how to use a computer is easy for them because they're doing it themselves. What they're capable of if they just learn through training to do it differently. We also really try to work with the family. If we can get the family to understand that blindness does not mean you have to do everything for the individual, that they can learn how to do things themselves, that goes a long way to helping that person regain that confidence, regain that self-esteem, regain that sense of control that they had when they were fully sighted. And we find that many of the people that we work with not only go back to the things that they were doing before, but do even more than what they were doing as a sighted person. Many of our older adult participants are the primary homemaker. They're the ones cooking the Thanksgiving or the Christmas dinner. They're the ones who are cleaning the house. They're the ones who are babysitting for the grandchildren. And people always say, oh my God, how can you do it? And the reality is they can do anything as long as they have the skills and the techniques to do it safely.
Yeah. Well, Nancy, I know in a few minutes we're getting ready to meet some more of your staff and the great work that you guys do at Vision Services. I want to thank you for coming and giving us a little bit of an intro. Great work that you're doing and continue to make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we rely so much on volunteers. Our Bronx and Westchester Community Advisory Board is always looking for new members to help get the word out about our free service and also help in our programs. So, please let them call us or contact us at info@visionsvcb.org or call us at 212-625-1616. Thanks so much for the opportunity.
Nancy, thank you so much. You gave the information. I don't have to give it. You just gave it right there. Thank you. And I want our guests to stay with us. Well, I should say the viewers to stay with us, because guess what? We do have more show coming up. After the break, we'll introduce you to some very special workers at Nancy's organization. And welcome back to the show. Coping with vision loss can be difficult when someone loses their vision. There are many day-to-day activities that actually become challenging. The challenges it poses can seem overwhelming at times. It may result in feelings of anxiety, frustration, sadness, anger, and sometimes even depression. Visions help those in need learn the techniques to live with vision loss and remain active at school, home, work, and in the community. Now, joining us to tell a little bit more details is a licensed clinical social worker and director of rehab social work services at Visions, Constantina Bucala. Then we've also got licensed master social workers at Rehabilitation Social Worker at Visions. We've got Lisa Javutsky, and then we've also got Kimon Coley. And thank you all for joining us here on Open.
Thank you for having us.
So when we talk about really outlining those who suffer with vision loss, I wonder if, and I'll start first off, I guess, with maybe I'll start off with Lisa. Give us a little bit about maybe what we don't know about the challenges of those persons that actually have vision loss.
Well, I think it depends somewhat on whether or not that vision loss occurred at birth or later in life. You know, for someone who has a congenital condition that they've had time to adjust to, sometimes that adjustment process can be a little easier. For someone, though, who loses their vision later in life, that can be a little more challenging, and it can really affect every aspect of someone's life. I'm legally blind and lost my vision later in life, and while I come to you now as a professional social worker, very well adjusted, that was a long and difficult process. And one of the things that Visions really excels at, I think, is helping people to get through that process.
Yeah. Constantine, talk about getting through that process. You know, from a personal experience, my father was legally blind as well. He started off with sight and later on lost his eyesight at an adult age and for probably the last 20 years of his life. But I do know that there were a series of times when frustration and just really trying to walk somebody, you know, he needed somebody to help walk him through it. And I know that's a part of what you do.
Yeah, so at the Vision Rehab Department, we provide adjustment to vision loss counseling for people who are dealing with vision loss, adjusting at different points in their lives. We also provide additional services in the home, including vision rehab and orientation and mobility, which helps people with their activities of daily living in the home, and also traveling within their neighborhood and on public transportation. And we really work together with the rest of the team to help people who are adjusting to their vision loss deal with the emotional impact of having to do things differently and having to reach out for help. I too am visually impaired myself. I was diagnosed as a young child and have been actually experiencing progressive vision loss over the course of my lifetime. So there's been a lot of mini adjustments. And that is something that a lot of our clients that come to us also work with. So it's not always a one and done type of scenario, but a lot of times as your vision changes, you have to constantly make adjustments. And there could be anxiety and depression associated with that. Also, if people had past traumas on anything else, and also sometimes people experience vision loss as a trauma. And then grief and loss is, of course, a big part of it. Yeah.
So Kimon, tell me a little bit about the work that you do.
Okay, so I do adjustment to blindness counseling. I also provide case management services, and I work with all lifespans. So that's children, adults, and seniors. I provide one-on-one therapy. I also offer groups. I have done youth groups. I also try to connect individuals to resources.
Yeah. And when we speak about resources, any of you can jump in and share a little bit about this here. What are some of the additional resources that are available for those who are either visually impaired or have lost their sight?
Well, I think some of those resources can be very concrete, practical things. You know, making sure that any benefits benefits that the person is eligible for. They're connected with services like paratransit, which is for people who really can't manage public transportation effectively. And then it can also be things like support groups, accessible physical and cultural activities. It's really a wide range, and it's very much dependent on the individual in terms of what they're looking for, what their needs are, and what's available. That was a very big challenge during COVID. It's starting to open up a little bit more now, but a lot of those things that we would connect people with were not available. And that really increased the sense of isolation and disconnection for a lot of our.
Yeah. Constantina, give me a little bit more on that, because we haven't talked about COVID, and I know that that's been adversely impacting a lot of people, but for yourself and then those that you serve, what have been those challenges? Because I know, just being able to connect and access to resources are actually huge, but in a place where we're in a shutdown, those things become extremely hard.
Yes, because we were used to providing in-home and community-based services with our other departments. It was a big challenge, and isolation was a big challenge. So the way we rose to the occasion is that we really adjusted to telehealth, which included telephone, especially for a lot of our seniors where technology was an issue. And Zoom, Google Meets, other video conferencing ways of reaching our clients. And in many ways, because other services, like Lisa mentioned, were not, volunteer services that would go and visit the homes, weren't doing that anymore. We really stepped in as being the daily or weekly contact for people, and also connecting them with like the emergency food program that New York City provided. A lot of us really helped to just connect them with the services, because sometimes technology was a barrier for people, especially our seniors.
Yeah. Come on, as we wrap up, talk to us about how you feel the morale is for those now that we're kind of like moving out of COVID a little bit, a lot, I should say. We're a whole lot better than where we were last March, but what's the morale of clients?
I think they are excited in a sense to be able to try to come out of the home and see their loved ones. A lot of the clients, although I work with the all lifespan, a lot of my clients have been seniors. And so I see a lot of isolation in that population. And then with the laws limiting how many times, the type of visitations that they might receive. So their loved ones wasn't coming around to see them as much because they were elderly and they were at-risk population. So I see a huge increase in isolation in our population. And even they used to go out for a walk, or, they used to go to the supermarket by themselves. That was really affected. So now that, it's getting a little better, they're now trying to go out, or taking more opportunities from our services in our other departments as well. So we just hope that, morale begins to increase more in our population, and we can continue to help support them from our department as well.
Yeah. Well, ladies, thank you so much. The work that you do is so essential. Glad to have you sharing with us here on the show, and thank you for it. And hopefully we'll get an opportunity to see you soon.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Well, we want to let you know now, if you want more information, what you want to do is you want to be able to visit them at visionsvcb.org. And then also you can follow them on social media. You can follow them at visionsvcb. Again, thank you to the ladies for joining us. Listen, we've got more show. Don't go anywhere. Open continues when we return right after this. And welcome back to the show. American Dream Charter School is celebrating its class of 2021 and held its first ever graduation at the Bronx Zoo, celebrating 64 high school seniors of triple firsts. The first group of students to attend the school when it opened in 2014, its first graduating class, and the first generation of students from their families to ever attend college. Joining us now to share more details is the founder and head of the School of American Dream Charter School, Melissa Melkonian. And then we've also got students, Melanie Vaca and Camille Henry. And congratulations to you all.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Melissa, I'll start with you first. I mean, what does it mean for you? I mean, obviously, as we said, this is a first of many firsts, and here it is, your first graduating class, the first students that are actually going off to college. And as a school, how does that feel?
It feels surreal. It feels like it is a big dream come true for a lot of our students, a lot of our families. This is something that we had been working towards since 2014 and even beforehand. But for us and for our community, our parents, we are just thrilled to be able to offer students an opportunity to advance their education and go off to college and graduate from college in the next 4 years. We are very, very proud and excited.
Yeah. Let me bring Melody in, and I'll ask Melody, how does it feel for you being a part of this first class and for you, the first one in your family?
To me, I feel like it's crazy. I thought it was gonna be so far. I have to do so much to get there. I did, but it just came out so fast, and I didn't expect it. But I'm really happy that I'm part of this.
Yeah, Camille, for you, what's it like to be a part of such a historic school?
I feel very happy because we built a great family with everyone throughout 7 years, and it's a lot. And I agree with Melly how I thought it wouldn't go by quickly, but it flew. The next day we're already going off to college.
Yeah, and going off to college is pretty huge. But give us a little bit about what it was like in class. I mean, obviously your end goal is to get across the finish line and graduate. But what was the atmosphere like with you and your fellow students?
I feel like we have grown all together. We learn how to communicate and talk and just work together to come to this outcome. So I'm really excited for that.
Yeah. Camille, you want to add anything?
Well, it was definitely difficult, but having such a great support system for everyone and the students and the friends that helped us grow. And we got to connect with everyone and get help from them.
Yeah. Melissa, I guess when I look back at this, the last couple of years, particularly with COVID, an extreme challenge, but yet and still your students were able to persevere. What was it like for you as, educator, then also what was it like for students?
I think for us during this pandemic year was something that obviously the whole world did not expect. However, we were so lucky that we had the foundation that we had with each other for the last, at that time, the last 6 years, just knowing how we worked, how we all were already connected with technology. Our students all had one-to-one Chromebooks. We had already been using the platforms that became the platforms of today. But more than that, I think the families and the students who trust the school and trust the support systems, being able to all rally around the end goal and not losing sight of that end goal, which was college, was something that was so powerful. And that was the momentum that kept us going through Zoom, through economic hardships, through food insecurity. Regardless, we all came together to be able to just push through with what we had already established as a community, as a school, as a family, to be able to achieve this amazing outcome for our students and families.
Yeah. And talk about achieving that outcome. I mean, we talked about the first, but what does it mean for the future, given the fact that you have this great outcome? I know this is going to do something in terms of attracting more students to really come your way.
I think for us, the future is now, right? So what it means that more students from the South Bronx are going to be able to have access to college and these opportunities that otherwise aren't necessarily readily available. So what it means, it means a change in the narrative of what the South Bronx is. And right now, what we want it to be is to have educated young people to be able to change the world.
Yeah. And then for you ladies, I'll come back to Melody and I'll start first. What would you tell somebody who's, thinking about coming to your school? What kind of experience would they get?
Be honest, I would highly recommend the school because like the support that they give us and everything is like so like overwhelming, and like I don't know, it just helped me a lot. I used to be like really shy and everything, and now I feel like I came out more and like I can be myself. Like plus like they they have like it's not just one language they speak multiple languages, so it's like very helpful.
And Camille, what would you tell somebody?
I agree. Everyone is so helpful and they support you a lot and they don't want to see you fall back. And there's just great experiences to the trips, to the classes.
And thank you. So, Melissa, as we get ready to wrap this up, I want to ask you the question. If somebody's thinking about it, they say, hey, this sounds like a wonderful school, great accomplishments. I want my son or daughter to be a part. How can they do that?
Absolutely. So visit our website, www.theamericandreamschool.org. And the very first prompt will help you apply to our school. It is a free public charter school. We take any student from any location in New York. We do give a preference to students in our school district, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't apply. Everybody who is interested in being bilingual and being, exploring the options for college, being a part of a wonderful multicultural family, this is the place for you. We are small, we are loving, we're going to change the world together.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. I want to say specifically to Melody and also to Camille, congratulations to you as you launch out, and certainly come back and let us know how you're doing. Melissa, a first. Thank you so much, and best wishes to your school.
Thank you. Have a great day.
All righty. We want to let you know now, if you want more information, as Melissa said, you can visit their website and go ahead to the americandreamschool.org. And then, of course, you can follow them on the social media platforms, particularly Instagram at American Dream School. We want you to stay with us. We do have more open. Don't go anywhere. We're coming right back right after this. And welcome back to the show. Communitas America is a social impact not-for-profit organization that's actually based in the Bronx, and it aims to increase the access to resources for women and people of color in underserved communities. Now, they recently awarded Start Lighthouse a grant of $10,000. And here to tell us a little bit more is the executive director and co-founder of Start Lighthouse, Rita Madani, and we thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you so much for allowing me the time and space to be here with you today.
Yeah, well, I mean, it comes at a good time, and Start Lighthouse is doing some great things. And I want to get an opportunity to say, first of all, congratulations to you. And you received an award recently that was pretty big.
Yeah, I think it's just been absolutely remarkable just how much the organization has grown, given the fact that we are an organization that was born during the height of the pandemic. And for me, I think participating in the Communitas Accelerator program was just so eye-opening in the sense of just being able to connect with like-minded and passionate individuals who are really looking to make a mark on their respective communities, and also just gaining that confidence that we're on the right track and that we're onto something here. As big as it is in my mind, someone else sees that as well.
Yeah. And you guys got a $10,000 grant. Talk to us about what it actually means to be a grant recipient.
This is one of our biggest grants up to date. So I think it first feels absolutely remarkable to be receiving this recognition, and especially from an organization like Communitas, who is committed to empowering individuals like myself within the community. And I think for us, this grant is really going to allow us just impact many more students within the South Bronx. We not only have our customized literacy toolkits that we provide to students, but we also have our very own racial justice literacy program that we launched last summer. And now with this grant, we're planning to hire additional consultants that can really help build out our curriculum to make sure that it's accessible not only to English language learners, but also to students with learning disabilities, because that's something that we're ultimately trying to address as an organization, is that access point.
Yeah. And we know that when we talked before, we were in the height of COVID and now things have gotten a little bit better. How have you made the adjustment? I mean, given the fact that you're an organization that's not too old, but yet and still making an impact.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for us, a lot of the workshops and also our programming was simply taking place virtually. But now that we see things reopening, we've had the opportunity to go directly into the schools and integrate our programming into the school day, which has just been remarkable. I just had an opportunity to visit our school partner, PS5 Port Morris, and students there are currently enrolled in our racial justice literacy program. And just the other day, they were having conversations around their respective identities and who they are as individuals. And they were also talking about how do we confront gender stereotypes. And I think it's remarkable that these students get to be in person now and to be able to have these inclusive learning spaces.
Yeah, these spaces are very critical at a time like this, especially with a lot of what we're facing here in the country. What has been your takeaway from students and the conversations that they're having, particularly in that area?
Well, I think it's absolutely important for us to be building these learning spaces for our students, and especially for our students of color, because oftentimes the narrative that we're seeing and just how our curriculum has been positioned, it's always been in the perspective of the colonizer, right? Even the existing curriculum that we have in place, it's just very Eurocentric. And as an organization, we're trying to actually reframe that narrative and ultimately decolonize our education system, because we believe that representation matters and our students deserve to have access to stories and perspectives that are representative of them and their lived experiences.
Yeah. And so as you are moving forward now with the grant, with the award, obviously we set our sights towards the future. What can people expect from the organization and the work that you're going to carry out?
I mean, our plan is to reach as many students and as many schools within the Bronx. We're looking to expand as quickly as we can. We're going to continue to build out our student home libraries. We're going to continue to create these inclusive learning spaces all across the community, and just to really support their family members and caregivers with ongoing programming that really fits what their needs are at that current moment.
Yeah. And, when we talk about the needs of students right now, there are a lot. And for an organization like yourself, as I said in the beginning, you guys just started not too long ago. What has been the key to really being able to break these barriers, get in there with students, and really get the kind of success that you've had?
I think it's been all about finding your champions within the community. And I've just been so fortunate to be able to find my own champion, Danielle Keene, who is the principal of PS5 Port Morris. And she is honestly a powerhouse, to say the least. She has been advocating for us as an organization since the very beginning. Our conversation began simply through me sending a cold email and just introducing myself and Start Lighthouse. And just through her support and guidance and coaching, we've been able to grow tremendously and also just find a space for ourselves within her school community.
Rena Mondani, thank you so much for being with us here on Open. Great work, and congratulations on the grant, and congratulations on your award. Huge, 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 and much congratulations.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure. And I'm just so grateful to be able to have this conversation with you.
Well, thank you, Rena. All right, well, I want to let you know, if you want more information, please don't hesitate. Visit the website, starlighthouse.org, and follow them on social media at Star Lighthouse. We are taking a quick break. Encourage you, please don't go anywhere. Open does continue coming up right after this. And welcome back to Open. Joko is a new docked electric bike share service founded by two unrelated entrepreneurs, one American-born and one British-born. Joko is a micro-mobility brand merging sustainability and convenience, and they recently launched 300 e-bikes right here in New York City. Joining us to share a little bit more are the co-founders of Joko, Jonathan Cohen and Jonathan A. Cohen. So now I want to start off with, let's clear the air here. Two unrelated entrepreneurs?
No relation. No relation. We have the same full name. We met a few years back when we were getting our MBA. But yeah, just a happenstance by chance. I actually honestly hated him at the start. And ultimately, you know, he was getting the higher grades and was getting along better with the teachers. But ultimately, if you can't beat him, join him. And we became really close friends and then became co-founders.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm sure there's a way, you know, you say, hey, my name is Jonathan. You got the wrong grade. I mean, I'm sure that could have worked out on your behalf too, but glad to have you. Talk to us about this here. So you guys get together and you decide now that you are going to create these e-bikes. What was behind the concept of saying, we want to do this?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, we believe in a world with less cars and with greener and more affordable forms of transportation. 60% of trips in the US are under 5 miles. You really don't need a 2-ton car to travel under 5 miles. And we also believe that to get people out of cars, people need options. They need different forms of clean and affordable transportation. And we leveraged my transportation experience and Johnny's real estate experience to come up with Joko to create the most convenient, sustainable, and efficient way to get around major cities like New York City and generally urban environments.
Yeah. And so now that the 300 e-bikes have hit the city, how do people actually get their hands on them?
So we have an app. It's called Joko. You download the Joko app and all the instructions are right there in the app about what you need to do. You know, we're a e-bike rental. And as mentioned, we operate out of private locations. So primarily parking garages.
Pretty straightforward. We have docking stations it's pretty straightforward and convenient.
Yeah. And our e-bikes are pedal assist. So you lightly pedal and they go faster. They're also state-of-the-art premium electric and we have big growth plans to grow to at least 800 bikes and definitely more from there.
Sounds like you guys need to be on Shark Tank. It really does. I mean, you guys got it going on here. But so tell me about this, Hill. You've got this situation where, you know, a lot of New York, definitely, we know cars and traffic are huge, but e-bikes definitely coming in to, you know, really bridge that gap. What's it been like in terms of public awareness and then also public participation?
Great question. People are excited. People are really excited. You know, people are owning less and less cars in major cities, and it's really expensive to store your car as well, between the gas and the electric and kind of everything involved with it. So, you know, people also want cleaner and more efficient ways to get around. So people have been super engaged. We also, you can see the logo on Johnny's shirt, but we also have a huge focus on branding, and our bike is orange. And electric and electric in the sense of the visuality of the visualness of it is electric. And so we've had really strong engagement. Celebrities have tried it, influencers, TikTok influencers, families,
all organic
tourists,
as well.
Yeah. Tourists, commuters, leisurely rides. So we've had really strong engagement. And, you know, the one thing we need to really hit mass market is more locations, and we have a lot more locations coming, and we have signed leases, and we have a really great initial partner in Icon Parking, And so, between Icon Parking and Quick Park, they're the largest parking operator in New York City. And so they've been great to work with. And so, we're really expanding fast. And once we have that real scale, massive locations, people are going to be able to take it anywhere they want, to the gym, to the movie theater, to work. We expect people to go back to the office in New York. And we're really excited about helping bring New York back to its glory. We never thought New York was dead. I'm a New Yorker through and through, and New Yorkers persist through everything. And we definitely persisted through COVID. New York is back, and Joko is helping bring it back.
Yeah, I don't know, Jonathan. You got UK roots out there, and when you talk about traveling out there, France, I'm very familiar. You go out there, tourists have bikes, and so here, with the amount of tourism that New York gets, I'm sure that there's going to be a full throttle of people really wanting to use these actual bikes. And so I know you spoke a little bit earlier about, branching out to other boroughs. A timeline is in which you might see some more other boroughs actually seeing this?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this year we're aiming to be in more boroughs, but we're also looking to expand to other cities as well. We've already had interest from cities across the US, and we're very interested in other boroughs, and we even have leases and agreements in place to expand to some of the other boroughs around Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens,
and then hopefully getting to the Bronx and Staten Island as well.
Yeah.
We don't have agreements yet for the Bronx and Staten Island, but we need to find the spaces, and we definitely hope to get there.
Definitely. Well, Jonathan, thank you so much. Your story is very inspiring, and certainly it's definitely a game changer. And for a time like this, when we are trying to find our way and navigate around not just COVID, but around New York City, I think e-bikes are definitely the way to go. And glad to say that we had you here on the show. And we'll definitely come back and talk to you more to find out more about this as the company continues to expand and grow. But thanks for being with us here on Open.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you.
All righty. Well, thank you. And we want to let you know that if you want to find out more information, of course, what you can do is visit their website, ridejoko.com. And then you can also follow them on social media. And how do you do that? Well, all you got to do is go right there and you'll see their information right there at the bottom of your screen. Want to tell you, we want to thank you for joining us. That about wraps it up for this edition of Open. I'm Darren Jaime. Thank you. And for all of us here on the set of Open, we want to let you know, come back and watch us next week. If you want to continue to watch us, BronxNet's Channel 67. Of course, you also have the opportunity to check us out on the World Wide Web, BronxNet.org. And don't forget about our social media platforms at BronxNet TV. Also want to give a special shout out to our viewers who've been watching on Manhattan Neighborhood Network as Open is broadcast live simultaneously on the MNN channel. Now, if you desire a brand new, fresh episode of Open, why don't you come back on Friday with my girl, Rena Valentine, and guess what? She'll give you the best in arts and entertainment. Until next time we meet, I'm Darren Jaime saying take care, God bless, and most of all, keep this channel wide open.